it's just very sad and preventable and, I mean, horrible. And his apology video was pathetic. So good try, Travis.
Well, let's move on to this tragedy that sort of hit me really hard this week, because it is so sad. All the footage coming out of it is so sad. It is the tragedy that happened at the Astroworld concert with Travis Scott, where Drake was brought on stage at the end of Travis Scott concert. And sadly, at least 8 people were killed. It's looking like it's going to be 9. And dozens more were injured at the concert that was in Houston. After Drake came on the stage, a large crowd began pushing towards the front of the stage during the performance. The fire department tried to get in, but they just couldn't get into the crowd fast enough. There were too many people who were being trampled, who were being pushed, who were being shoved against the stage. This is one of the deadliest crowd control disasters in the United States since 1979, at a show by The Who in Cincinnati, which left 11 people dead. And it's still unclear what prompted the crowd to surge forward, but witnesses described the scene as a chaotic scene before and during the concert, with many people trying to rush towards the front. One concert goer said the event was, quote, hectic from the beginning. Travis was on stage for telling the crowd, "I want to see some rages. Who want to rage?" Moments later, he could be heard saying, "There's an ambulance in the crowd. Whoa," and apparently trying to calm the commotions. For several seconds, there was no music. He looked towards the crowd and at the red and blue lights in the sea of people. And he says, "If everybody good, put a middle finger up in the sky." The music resumed. And then Travis said, "Make the ground shake." The concert continued for another 30 minutes and then ended as Travis was waving to the crowd, jogging off stage, say, "I love y'all, make it home safe." The Live Nation concert organizers stopped the concert 30 minutes earlier than planned, but 40 minutes after city officials said the mass casualty event had begun. 40 minutes after the mass casualty event had begun. A 9th grade student, John Hilgert, at a memorial school, was the youngest who died in the incident. John Hilgert was among the 8 victims at the event, some of who have been identified, some have not. There was a 14-year-old, a 16-year-old, 20, 21, a pair of 23-year-olds, and a 27-year-old victim. The Houston police chief said that officials worried that ending the concert quickly would make the situation worse. He said, quote, "You cannot just close when you have 50,000 individuals. We were worrying about rioting and riots when you have a group that's so young." Now, that was a mouthful and a really sad one. This is just, it's such a shocking, horrible thing to happen to really the country, the world, because you feel safe going to a concert. And even when they're crowded, you feel like you're not risking death. And this concert sort of shook us from all of this. Who has thoughts? It's really sad.
Well, first of all, I never feel safe at a concert. I never feel safe in huge crowds. And this incident validated that. I mean, these things should never happen. But what I find really astounding is that there wasn't better security and crowd control measures in place. And I think that a lot is going to come out about what actually went down at this show, but it's just tragic. And the 9-year-old who's on life support, here's what I want to say. Parents, don't bring your tiny tots to a show by artists who are known to like stir up the crowd.
Yeah,
yes.
I agree, Gwen. I mean, I didn't know. I was unfamiliar with Travis Scott as a performer. To me, he was just Stormi's dad. Like, I knew he was a rapper. I had never been to a Travis Scott show. I didn't know about like the hype of Astroworld. I really didn't know this was like this big of a deal. And then after this happened, obviously I looked into it, and there is obviously something to be said for the perpetuating of insanity that he wants at his shows, and the type of crowd that then comes there and what they're looking for and how they want it to be this epic, crazy thing and how they're treating each other. And then, you know, the whole thing seems to be, it's just very sad and preventable and, I mean, horrible. And his apology video was pathetic. So good try, Travis. But
I have sadly been to a Travis Scott concert.
Have you?
And I have. And it is like reminiscent of the hard death metal rock concerts that I would never attend because I don't want my veneers getting knocked out.
Exactly.
Because there are mosh pits, that's sort of the vibe of Travis Scott's audience, is like death metal rock mosh pits. He eggs them on. That's how it becomes epic, through light violence, pushing. You know, that's really, it is insane. And I'm really not trying to put this all on Travis because he's sort of just hyping it up, and it's not his job to control the crowd. You know, it's not his job to put safety protocols in place for a concert atmosphere. But I think everybody was at fault here, and I really hope we learn a lot from this. Like I said, the videos coming out of it are so sad. These poor kids are being crowd surfed out because of their wounds for the crowd. And another point we heard from a source close to Travis was that as soon as Drake came on stage, all of the security people at the place were, you know, filming the concert on their phones because Drake had just come out, the two biggest rapper there. So all of the security guards were also caught up in what was going on stage. So I think there is plenty of blame here to go around. I think everybody can have some of it. There have been 15, I believe, at this point, lawsuits filed against Travis and Live Nation, Rolling Loud, Astroworld, all of this in wrongful death suits, as there sure have, because I have never heard of a better case for a wrongful death suit more than this. It is just so sad.
And there's definitely going to be more to the story, because didn't the police just say that like the whole stabbing of injections wasn't real? Like I think there's like misinformation all over the place here.
So when we first found out about the tragedy, when it first broke over the weekend, we thought that someone was walking around with needles injecting people. And that was why people had passed, because someone was injecting people. And then the security guards said that, no, he wasn't actually injected with a needle. He was actually punched in the neck, which that is maybe the most confusing thing I've ever heard, as someone who has been jabbed in the face with plenty of needles, if you know what I mean. It does not feel like getting punched in the face. But yeah, that was the original story. But seriously,
I think a lot is going to come out that we don't know about yet. So it's an ongoing investigation and story.
Yeah,
interesting.
And I know T's and P's are thrown around a lot, but seriously, thoughts are with all of the family members of these poor deceased people and kids at the concert.